morning, Attorney Laura.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for meeting me so early this morning to discuss Chuck's interest in Amy's land.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand that we're talking about lot 234 on Beechwood Drive, correct?
234 and 232.
Okay, so Chuck's interested in both of those pieces of land?
He is, yes. Let me give you a little background about Chuck.
Okay,
I don't know
yeah.
if you know who Chuck is, but
my understanding is that he's a chef and caterer.
That's correct, yep. He's been in the business for 10 years. He's really reputable in the community. Our firm actually wanted to have him serve our firm one day, but he's so busy. So right now he's working out of a kitchen at a country club. He's leasing that. And he's welcome to stay there. However, he thinks it's just, it's been a decade and it's time to move on. He wants to have his own little area. So currently, he's looking at two spots of land. The one he was initially looking at is called Whitestone. It's about 5 blocks from Amy's plot of land. And he's interested in that. He can get it for a good price, but he prefers Amy's land because of more so the aesthetic of it. He loves being in the park. He's a nature guy. He wants to be in that kind of atmosphere. So he was walking by one day and he didn't know Amy, but he didn't see a for sale sign, but he thought this is a really cool area. So he contacted people in the community. They hooked him up with Amy, and she said she might be willing to sell it for him. So that's why we're here today.
Okay, great. And that pretty much meshes with my understanding of the situation.
Okay.
I knew they didn't really have a previous relationship at all. It kind of came a little bit out of the blue that he contacted her about purchasing the property there. Now, as you probably know, the land there on lot 234 does have a small building on it. Right now, it's obviously not equipped. I think it was previously some kind of an office space, so it's not currently set up to be a kitchen space. I understand that they did speak a little bit about renovations. What sort of, plans does he have as far as the land goes and what he wants to do with the building?
The building itself he'll renovate for a kitchen. For renovation expenses, he'll have to put in a class 3 kitchen, it's called, in order to keep his license. And so he'll need to purchase kitchen equipment, which I think is about $3,250 or $32,500 for kitchen equipment. And then for renovations, it'll be about $16,000. But he's willing to put in those costs. In fact, the other location needs those costs as well. So.
Okay. So with this, I'm just trying to make sure that we kind of talk about all the issues here before we really get into, maybe talking about some hard numbers here.
Sure.
Something else that Amy was slightly concerned about, just in terms of a little bit the aesthetic and things like that. What are his plans with regard to any signage that would be going up on the building?
He would be interested in putting up a sign, but that's more just, it's a small desire. It's not something that's overriding. If he was not allowed to put up a sign for some reason, he'd be willing to purchase a property regardless of that. That being said, he said that he would pay up to, $500 or so for the sign if Amy's interested in that.
Okay. Okay, so we may have to discuss that a little bit further, because Amy was interested in securing an agreement there that if Chuck does purchase the property, he would agree not to put up any signage on the building for about 1 to 2 years.
Okay, and can I ask why that is?
It's mainly for the aesthetics of the area. She's a little bit concerned that, sort of the neighborhood would feel like, the area is being developed, things like that. As you know, there's the park right nearby, so she really doesn't want, the neighborhood getting the sense that this whole area is going to be commercialized. Exactly,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Okay, well, that is something that we can talk about, but I think the most important thing at this point is the land itself, I suppose. So it seemed as if you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like you were a little surprised that I mentioned 232.
Yeah, a little bit. From what I understood from Amy, Chuck had mentioned lot 232 to her, and she had said that currently that lot is not for sale. So as far as this goes, I guess what's the interest in lot 232? Because 234 is the one that, Amy was discussing the sale of with Chuck.
Sure. 232 is important to Chuck because, and I wasn't aware of the conversation that they had or that she informed him it wasn't for sale, but from my understanding, Chuck, it's pretty necessary for Chuck to have nearby parking. And so 232, I think it's just a plot of land right now, is that right? He would.
Right. It's because it's right next to that lot 230, which composes the majority of Beechwood Park. It's sort of part of that land that the residents of the community have been using as a park area.
Sure. So he would want, here's just a visual, but this small piece here would connect to this, and he would use this for his cars, because as a catering business, he doesn't want to lug all his food to a parking space that's far away. So that would just be merely for convenience. And he would pay to put the cement in and all that stuff. But I guess I wasn't aware that it wasn't for sale. Is there any way that Amy might consider selling that?
There is a possibility that she would be willing to sell it, but it would depend on the numbers.
Okay.
So I think at this point that might be the way to go here, is to start discussing,
sure.
Sort of the sale price for the land.
Okay.
Obviously, they're being next to the park and everything. It's got great foot traffic. Very nice area, as he noticed coming through and noticing that land. So. As far as that goes, at this point, I think that what we'd be looking at, as far as kind of an initial asking price for you here, would be something around the 140 mark for the land. So
140. Okay, well that is a bit higher than, well, let me first clarify. Is that just for 234, or is that for the combination of the two plots of land?
There's a possibility that could include lot 232. That'll depend on what we end up with, but let me see here. Give me a second.
Sure.
Just to make sure here. Okay, if we were to include lot 232 based on my understanding of what Amy would be looking at for that, I think that for the two plots together, we'd be looking somewhere more around the 175 mark.
175. So, let's see here. You're valuing 232 at about $35,000. Is that right?
With that, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Like I said, that is a bit higher than what Chuck was willing to go. However, there's some kind of creative thinking going on right now. He did say that with all the renovation work that needs to be done,
Mhm.
that he'd be willing to pay an additional $3,000 for somebody who would do the renovations for him, plus an additional $1,000 for somebody who would put in the kitchen equipment for him, totaling $4,000. I don't know if Amy does that kind of work.
Amy does do renovation work, and from her conversations with Chuck, she did have some idea of what he was looking at for that. In terms of the renovations and the kitchen, what we were looking at there, I believe that she was saying that the renovation work, including materials, labor,
Sure.
to do the entire job, she'd be looking that she could do it within a month for about 18,000. As far as the class 3 kitchen, could also take care of that, but that would be about 33,000 to have that pre-installed before Chuck would be moving in.
Right, and those numbers are pretty much in line with mine. He estimated 16,000 for renovations, but he would pay $83,000 to do the work, and he estimated about 32,500 for kitchen equipment, and he would pay an additional 1,000. But that was just more on top of the figure that he had projected for the plots of land. So currently, I guess the easiest way to go about this is I'll just give you the numbers that he gave me.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we can try to find some creativity between there. Unfortunately, I won't be able to contact Chuck today. He is in meetings and he never gave me his contact information. So he has authorized me to kind of stick within these lines, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I don't know if I mentioned, but the offer for the Whitestone property tomorrow will be expired. So, pressure's on. We have to figure this out today.
Okay, gotcha, absolutely.
All right, so the numbers that he gave me, and we did kind of do some math. If we were to expect that 232 wouldn't be available. He gave me $30,000 tops for 232. And for 234, he gave me 90,000. Together being 120.
Okay, so 120 for both of the properties.
Yes.
Okay, and unfortunately, I mean, I'm in kind of a similar situation to you here in that, I have certain authorization for what I'm able to do on Amy's behalf.
Sure.
So just the way it works, I guess, right?
Right.
And with that, unfortunately, I mean, that's just going to be below what I'm authorized to accept on Amy's behalf. I'm just not able to go below the numbers that she's given me. And I'm able to come down a bit from, from that initial number. But the best that I could do for 234 would be about 117,000.
Okay.
So that would be the lowest that I'd be able to do for that. And if that comes down that far, we would end up actually that, if the price for that lot is that low, then Amy would require an additional 50,000 for lot 232. So with that, I mean, it sounds like based on the numbers that you're giving me, and what we're authorized to offer here, that unfortunately, I don't think that there's a way to make that work.
There's no zone of agreement.
It doesn't seem like there is, unfortunately, which is too bad,
It's too bad. But I think that, it was good to talk over these numbers, and, unless you can think of any other interests that Amy might have, in terms of if she needs catering work done, or I don't know, because she's just a real estate agent, or She just does renovation work, is that correct?
Primarily renovation. She has some real estate investment properties and things like that. So
Okay.
she's not trying to be the next real
Right.
estate mogul, but does a little bit of investing here and there. Yeah, but unfortunately, I mean, I'm not authorized to take
Sure.
anything lower than that. And that's kind of the really primary issue, of course, with the real estate purchases. What's the
Sure.
price on it? We
Right.
certainly had some options to do some of the work there, but that main number's got to be right to make it work. So
Right, and even with the extra work, the 4,000 for the renovation assistance, I mean, that would still only get us at 94 tops for land, 234, so it looks like we're gonna have to go with, the Whitestone property.
yeah, and that's it's really too bad because she was looking forward to maybe having Chuck as a quasi neighbor there, but
Right.
I certainly wish you luck with that then,
Yeah, you
and
as well.
hopefully we can maybe do some business. I'll have to look into the catering. You said it's really good, so
Chocolate amazing.
I'll have to look Chuck up. Do you have his card?
Oh, I left it in the car, but meet me down there.
All right, great. That works. All right. Well, it was great meeting
Great
with
to meet
you.
you as well.
Got a knack for short negotiation.